imagine for a moment that you're sitting on a plane on the tarmac ready to take off, and you're in Chicago O'Hare, let's say, and you're flying to London or Johannesburg. And let's say you realize that, oh, I'm on the wrong plane. I should be flying to Jamaica or to Honolulu. And you change planes. And now you're sitting on a plane that's headed to a completely different plane of existence. Today, we're talking about how to change your plane of existence. Hi, my name is Ahonu, and on behalf of Aingeal Rose, I want to welcome you to this discussion on the planes of existence in life and how we create them.
Today, of necessity, we're going to talk again about the planes of existence. The last time, I say again because the last time we talked about the planes of existence, we spoke specifically about the planes of existence after death. And it was a shock to some people to realize that, oh, there are different planes there after death, yeah? And that different people, based on their consciousness, can go to different planes. That some might be on planes of education, let's say, or some might be on planes of service, and others might be planes of healing, whether it's healing the body or healing the mind or whatever it might be. And then others might be on spiritual dimensions and so on. And there was an infinite number of these planes of existence. That was what was really interesting. Now, why this is important and why it's coming up now is for a couple of reasons. One is because we've had a death in the family last night, and of course, your mind goes to that place. Where are they? What are they doing? And so on. And that's a natural thing. But the other one is that recently we've had the necessity to put up an explanation of, is the tunnel of light a trick? Now, anybody who's been following us will know that we did a 3-part series, first of all, called Is the Tunnel of Light a Trick? And those 3 parts were the most listened to and most commented of all the videos that we've put up there. In fact, one of them, I'm not sure which one of them it is, but one of them has close to 40,000 listens. But what's coming out of it is that people are puzzled by these planes of existence, and they're puzzled by that process of the tunnel of light. So much so that Aingeal Rose went ahead and did a clarification session, and we called it simply Is the Tunnel of Light a Trick Part 4, which really clarified what goes on in that tunnel of light and that plane of existence that unfolds for people immediately after death. But this session, what's coming up now, what we haven't realized in the past is that these planes of existence are existing right now in our daily lives. We used to think, oh, this is only one plane of existence called Earth or called life or called humanity or called whatever you like, and that a different plane or planes of existence existed after we die. But now the realization is that all of these planes of existence exist all of the time right now. And where we find this to be true is because if you consider where you live for a moment, where you live right now is your plane of existence. And nobody else lives in that plane of existence. For example, if you have a son or a daughter who lives in California or Hong Kong or Saudi Arabia or South America or wherever, they're not in your plane of existence. Equally, you're not in their plane of existence that they've created or that you've created. So there's a plane of existence on the level of simply breathing and eating that we all create. So we create all the time our own levels of existence. Now, sometimes they overlap. So if you've people living in your own family, your children are living at home or you're living with your parents or whatever, you share that plane of existence for a time. But where it gets really interesting is that there are multiple planes of existence inside of that thing that we call life. So, for example, if you take the physical body on its own, the physical body is in a plane of existence on its own. Why? Because My physical body's plane of existence is completely and totally different to your body's physical plane of existence. So my heart might pump at a different rate than yours. I digest food at a different rate than yours. My blood cell count is different than yours. I may or may not have diabetes or cancer or leukemia or whatever. My plane of existence in my body is completely different to everybody else's plane of existence. So therefore, I've created a plane of existence right there that's evidenced in the physicality of my own being. Now, let's take your bank account, and we're being very broad with this right now, but your financial plane of existence is a plane of existence that you've created. So for me, I might be a multimillionaire, and that's my plane of existence. I play in that plane of existence. I buy and sell and do business in that plane of existence. By contrast, there might be another part of me that is playing in the field of poverty. So my plane of existence, in my awareness, in that plane of existence, is one of struggle and strife and pain and difficulty. And I've created that just the same. So that's a plane of existence that's very real for a lot of people. So all these planes of existence, we could go on forever describing the different planes of existence in our own experience right here, right now. So I mentioned the body, I mentioned finance, but take love. Somebody might be in love right now. That's a plane of existence where the hormones are racing through your body, your mind is active at its height, you feel the joy and the euphoria. You might have somebody else, maybe, for example, let's say, on death row, and they're not feeling that joy of love. Their plane of existence is one of dread and trepidation and fear and all of that. And that's a plane of existence. That's a plane of existence that they've created. This is actually a really glorious thought. It's a very freeing thought that at any point in time, we can create a plane of existence. Now, sometimes things are sluggish, in that if you want to change from one plane of existence to another plane of existence, there is some kind of a resistance that we need to overcome. So if you wanted to move, for example, from the plane of existence of your physical body being unhealthy to the plane of existence where your physical body is healthy, that can be a sluggish push or pull through all kinds of different belief systems, all kinds of different medical issues, perhaps, maybe fitness, maybe whatever it might take. But there's a time period that has to happen to move from one plane of existence to another. Sometimes it can be faster than others. Like, for example, if somebody is, let's say, living in poverty and they buy a lottery ticket and within a moment they are now millionaires. But yet, even though that might seem instant, it could well be the case that throughout their lifetime, perhaps, they were dreaming or conjuring or manifesting that possibility. Maybe they didn't do it in this plane of existence. Maybe it was done in a past life. But you get the point. The point is that we are in multiple planes of existence right here, right now. And that's a glorious and a very freeing thought. Aingeal Rose first introduced me to the possibility of planes of existence after death, and I want to get her input now into the planes of existence before death.
The Honest to God series with Aingeal Rose and Ahonu.
You are all very, very welcome. I am Ahonu, and with me is my lovely Aingeal Rose. People are demanding answers.
Basically exposing the truth.
For us to explore in more detail today.
This is the time period of truth being exposed, of all the unhealed stuff coming out.
So make sure you tune in. You can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and on our website at worldofempowerment.com.
Don't miss an episode. Hit the subscribe button now.
Well, Hannah, you just hit me with this revelation of yours this morning, and it's quite an amazing revelation. I'm sitting here spellbound with the implications of it, and it certainly brings to light a freedom that I didn't feel before this moment when you just said that. The fact that we are constantly creating planes of existence is a fact, actually. Just I never heard it put that way. So it does make us look at what plane of existence have we created for ourselves, and do we like being there or don't we? And if we don't, you seem to be suggesting that we could create a new plane of existence that could be something that would be more to our liking or bring us more joy and happiness, perhaps. And I think that's quite amazing because it probably is the way the physics of the universe works. And I do remember when we did the planes of existence after death, one of the very first things Source said to us was that we created them all with our consciousness. All those different, in my father's house are many mansions statement is the fact that we do create all these different scenarios. And certainly, because I do Akashic readings for people quite frequently, and people will ask about loved ones who have passed on, for example, you do see that they're all doing different things, and they're some of the planes of existence are common, such as huge universities of learning or planes of healing, for example, or others where somebody is working with sacred geometry or somebody else has created a house for themselves that they would have desired on earth but they didn't achieve, and they would have created a plane of existence where they're living in that house or they're doing a particular profession. So there's a time for that when you cross over to create all sorts of scenarios for the spirit. And ultimately, it seems that everybody ends up doing some sort of service in some way. So if we take that and apply it to this 3D Earth, and we think about all the things that people disagree upon, argue about in terms of whose truth is more true, the fact is it's all true. It's all relevant because each person is creating their version of reality.
Absolutely. And this also brings me back to when I was a child, and I believe this applies to other children as well. When they're in the imagination, they're creating planes of existence, albeit in their imagination, but they're creating planes of existence. So when you watch a child playing, they're totally immersed in the experience. Like the doll is real and is alive as far as they're concerned. A little girl might be concerned, or the toy tractor or whatever it is for a boy is real, and all of that. Those planes of existence are as real for them as they are for anybody else or anything else. Now, if we take that and bring it into adulthood, just the other day, many of you may know that I'm an artist and I paint. But I was looking at a program because everything these days now is going more digital and more digital and more virtual. But so I was watching a program about digital art, and there was an artist there who was creating a scenario on, I think it might have been on an iPad or something relatively simple in that sense, in that it was available to everybody to do. It wasn't like it was some great studio in Hollywood that was doing this. He was actually creating this on, could even have been an iPhone or whatever. But anyway, what he was doing was he was pulling different backgrounds into a scene, and he was pulling different perspectives into the scene. So he dragged something so that it looked further into the distance. He dragged something else so it came forward into the foreground. And he created light in one corner of something, and that cast shadows over here, and so on. And by the time he was finished, he had created a reality that was as real as anything. He put it together himself. He decided what was in it and what was not in it. He decided whether the sun was shining or it wasn't shining. He decided whether it was night or day. He decided whether the lights were on or off. He decided who was in the picture. He decided what kinds of things were in the picture. He created the entire, just like a child. The imagination was the guiding factor. Now, what I'm getting into is this imagination is what creates these planes of existence. Because if we remember back to a book that was written, gosh, maybe 30, 40 years ago. What was that lady's name? Something Goan.
Shakti Gawan.
Shakti Gawan, where she wrote about
Creative visualization.
creative visualization. And in that book, I read it all those years ago, but I remember it today because basically she was saying that we, through our creative visualization, which is imagination, we create our environment. So here we are coming full circle with creating our planes of existence by simply knowing that our imagination, our power of creation, our God-given ability to be able to create is at our disposal, and we have the power to create or discreate or uncreate planes of existence. So if there's something going on in your life right now that you're not happy with, whether it's your health, your finances, your love life, whatever it is, you don't like the house you're living, you don't like the state you're living in, you don't like the country you're living in, whatever it is, create a new plane of existence. Imagine it, picture it out in your head. This is the subject of a lot of those manifesting type books. But what we've done is we've dissected it into what's actually going on. It brings it down to the realization of how we create our own reality, how we actually manifest those planes of reality, those planes of existence by ourselves right here, right now, in every moment.
That's true, Ahonu. And I do remember Source saying to us a very simple statement where it said, imagination is real.
Let's leave us all with that thought because it's something we have to digest ourselves. Let's all digest it and imbibe it into our very souls that imagination is real and imagination is what creates our planes of existence. Let's make it a joyful one. Let's make it a beautiful one. Let's make it a wonderful one. Let's make it filled and full of love.
You have been listening to Aingeal Rose and Ahonu on World of Empowerment Radio, your station for practical spirituality in a changing world.